Yeah, and so that. We're gonna have to call you the honey pot, because the website's gonna be so outdated. Not my issue.
Okay. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Ms. Paula Valbuena at the podium.
Thank you, President Maestas. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web mcs4kids.com, dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página en Quick Links y haciendo clic en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche, o si no, estar en la parte de atrás para quien necesite servicios de interpretación. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Valbuena. Welcome, everybody, to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of February 11th, 2025. This meeting is now called to order. In closed session, board gave direction to staff. We'll have roll call. Trustee Brown.
I'm here.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Irvin.
Present.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Vice President Mejia.
Present.
President Maesis, I am here. Student Board Representative Ahmad Dagger, and here, and Student Board Representative Kavari Gupta. They are both at mock trial, so they're going to be lawyers? Okay. All right, so let the record reflect we do have a quorum. All members are present, except for our Student Board reps. Can you please stand and join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and the recordings will be available the next for viewing after the board meeting. MCS has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon of the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the meeting and available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment tonight on a subject that is not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card. They look like this, and submit it to the board president, myself, prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out one of these cards. You'll find the cards in the lobby, and you can hand those comment cards to Ms. Chambers in the back. She's going to wait for everyone. There she is. Hi, Ms. Chambers. I also want to remind you, if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies, which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt any speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out the card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. The maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. For those of you requesting translation services, an extra minute will be added to your comment time. Okay. Well, we are very pleased to welcome two musicians, I hear, from Garrison Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute. First, we have Melanie Asbill. Melanie is fifth grader Melanie is a dedicated student and a leader on campus. She makes a positive impact on campus by serving on the Guerrilla Council and actively participating in safety patrol. She's been recognized as Safety Patroller of the Month, and she also maintains perfect attendance. Melanie plays the trumpet in school band, just like my son does, so go Melanie, trumpet, and enjoys exploring her love of art and performing through Expanded Learning Opportunities program. Passionate about music, she hopes to continue playing the trumpet while learning the violin, multiple instruments, wow. After high school, Melanie plans to attend college to further her education. So we are missing someone else. Angie Jimenez was also going to be here, but I'm going to allow right now Melanie to lead us in our pledge.
Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to Dr. Noguchi. You're welcome, and announcements.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone out here in the audience and also welcome those that are at home listening to us from the comforts of their home. I'm going to keep it really short because I'm going to spend a little more time talking in the presentation, in two presentations from now, the mid-year review, but I do want to send a couple acknowledgments first to the MCS team who is here tonight to share their mid-year goals and their progress towards their goals and also areas for growth moving forward. So I want to thank you for your time and also your commitment for continuing the work on those goals between now and the end of the year. Next, I'd like to thank Synergistics, who is here to provide a recognition to some of our schools. For original board members from 7 years ago, it was 7 years ago that we made a commitment to sustainability, and Synergistics was the first step towards that, towards those goals, and from that time we have greatly expanded, but it truly was Synergistics, our partnership with them in energy management that started us on this journey, so thank you for coming and thank you for the recognition for those school sites that have made it to this award, so thank you. With that, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, next, Mrs. Sherakina Shams with our recognitions.
Well, good evening, President Maestas, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, and of course our family, staff, and community members here tonight. I hope you all had a great three-day weekend. Before we begin tonight's recognitions, I want to take a moment to highlight a proclamation that's on your consent agenda tonight, and it's honoring February as Black History Month. This year's nationwide theme, African Americans in Labor, recognizes the profound leadership and enduring legacy of Black Americans in the workforce and in the labor movement. And to celebrate, you may have noticed, we are highlighting impactful Black American icons who have inspired our own Black leaders within Modesto City Schools. So the community is invited to follow our Facebook and Instagram posts and follow those highlights there. So now we're going to move on to one of the most rewarding parts of our board meetings, and tonight we have the opportunity to celebrate a couple of really special recognitions. These are individuals who exemplify the values that make our community stronger, the exceptional students and staff of Modesto City Schools, and we're going to start with our Character Education Award, and our Character Ed recipient is sitting in our front row tonight. This acknowledges not only his efforts, but also how he inspires other students to uphold the values that strengthen our school community. Tonight's, or rather the month of February's trait is compassion, and we're recognizing Latu Vega, an 8th grade student at La Loma Junior High School. So here to tell us more about his nomination is Student Services Administrator Lindsay Dreyer. Why don't we have you both come up to the front so Ms. Dreyer can say a few words about Latu, and then we'll take your picture here by the board.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing an exceptional student, Latu Vega, whose actions speak volumes about the power of compassion. He makes a genuine effort to uplift those around him every single day. As a Safe School Ambassador at La Loma, Latu is a champion for inclusion, ensuring that every student feels welcome, valued, and heard. He has a remarkable ability to sense when someone needs support and offers encouragement with a quiet strength that makes a world of difference. He takes great pride in his heritage, as you can see tonight, and he celebrates the diverse backgrounds that enrich our school community. Latu, your deep care for others and your commitment for creating an inclusive, compassionate environment inspire all of us. You lead with empathy, and in doing so, you make La Loma a better place. We're so proud of you.
Thank you so much. You set a high standard for connection and compassion at La Loma. Congratulations. Next, we are proud to present our MCS Hero Award, and tonight we recognize a staff member who goes above and beyond to support our students and families. Tonight's honoree is Mayra Rojas, a student family support administrator at Orville Wright Elementary School. She was nominated by Katrina Van Walterop, Orville Wright music teacher. We'd like to invite you both to come up to the front so Ms. Van Walterop can say a few words about Mayra.
Good evening, board, Dr. Noguchi. I don't know how Myra does it because she does so much for our Overwrite community. Before the school year started, she was posting on social media to get backpacks and supplies for our students, which she distributed for them at Roundup. In October, she had Family Day in the park, and she organized the 2nd annual Overwrite Trunk or Treat. So we have a trunk or treat in the parking lot of our school for our families, and she gets donations of healthy snacks and candy. And it's a really fabulous event for our community. Then in November, she makes sure she always has food distribution. She has art. Cricket's House comes to her building and does art with our kids. She is always there to help families who need anything. Then came December. Myra in December did the whole month. She was doing 13-hour days. We have this incredible airport neighborhood parade, which board member Daly participates in. And we do this with Brad Hart and the Johansson Band and lots of community support. And normally we all meet on a Zoom call. It didn't happen this year, but Myra kept sending emails saying, we gotta make sure this is happening. Does everybody do their job? We did. So then she said, we normally have a reception, and Myra said to me, I don't know what we're gonna do, because last year we had a really big reception. Well, she made 100 treat bags for the kids, and we invite our community and all the parade participants in. And she had Pandolce donated from Viva. And then I told her, I know she was going to make pozole, and I said, no, you can't do that. So I went to Costco and got water and cookies. But the next day, that same week, she took kids to Don's Mobile Glass, and they go shopping, and they have Christmas cheer. And then this day after our parade, she had an event at Gala Glass. They take 50 of our families, go there, and have a Christmas special adventure. And Myra personally invites them all. So I said, okay, I'm gonna come help you. This is 2 sessions. It was like a 13-hour day for her. She did like a whole month of 13-hour days. But she's just amazing, and I appreciate what she does for our family. And I know the back half of the year, she does so much more. So thank you, Myra, for being our hero, and thank you for choosing her.
Thank you so much, Ms. Van Walterup, for bringing that forward tonight. Thank you so much to you and to Myra. And so moving on tonight, we do want to make note of the special recognition as well. And this is special because we know that our district is deeply committed to sustainability and to environmental responsibility across all of our sites. Modesto City Schools works hard to create healthier, more sustainable learning environments for our students and staff. So tonight we're honored to receive the Energy Star Building certification. And with that part of our program, I want to toss it to my colleague, our Associate Superintendent, Tim Zerly.
Thank you, Sherakina. Good evening. As Dr. Noguchi mentioned earlier, Synergistic has been a partner providing energy specialist and consultant support to Modesto City Schools since 2019. Tonight, we celebrate our continued progress with Synergistic by recognizing 26 schools awarded the Energy Star certification. This represents building energy performance for the top 25% nationwide in energy efficiency and ventilation standards. There'll be a short video presentation for the 26 school awards, or for the 26 schools receiving the certification awards. And then Synergistic will come up, say a few words about the program, and present the district with a plaque honoring the Energy Star certification.
Congratulations to Modesto City Schools on 3 years of Energy Star Building certifications. In 2022, there were 19 buildings certified. In 2023, Modesto received 24 awards. As 2024 concluded, applications were submitted for a record 26 recognitions. On average, Energy Star certified buildings use 35% less energy, cause 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and are less expensive to operate than their peers, all without sacrifices in performance or comfort. To earn Energy Star certification, buildings are verified to perform in the top 25% nationwide for energy efficiency and meet strict ventilation standards. The following schools have earned Energy Star certification: Beard Elementary School, Bret Hart Elementary School, Burbank Elementary School, Catherine Everett Elementary School, El Vista Elementary School, Enslin Elementary School, Evelyn Hanshaw Middle School, Franklin Elementary School, Grace Davis High School, Harriet Kirshen Elementary School, James C. Enochs High School, James Marshall Elementary School, John Fremont Elementary School, John Muir Elementary School, Joseph A. Hergori High School, La Loma Junior High School, Lakewood Elementary School, Mark Twain Junior High School, Modesto High School, Orville Wright Elementary School, Robertson Road Elementary School, Roosevelt Junior High School, Rose Avenue Elementary School, Shackelford Elementary School, Tuolumne TK-8 School, William Garrison Elementary School, and Wilson Elementary School.
It's right here.
Congratulations.
Oops. So first, just want to thank you for the more than 6 years of partnership. We're very delighted. I think I would just leave you with two things. One is that the award for Energy Star is a bar that keeps rising every year. So it's scoring against all the schools in the United States, and you're staying in that top quartile. So every year it gets harder as new schools, as new energy programs come out. So congratulations to your team and Gilbert and the folks that are in the buildings every day. Second is, most school districts don't have even one building that's Energy Star certified. The fact that 3/4 of all your buildings are is a testament to your guys' commitment to sustainability. So again, thank you for the partnership, and present this award to over here, I guess.
Thank you, President Maestas. That concludes tonight's recognitions.
All right, I can't take this home. I'm not energy certified, right? Our schools are. Thank you so much for that. I know the hard work that we've been putting in the last 7 years on this is very special. All right, so we'll move on to our Board of Education reports. So do we have any board members that have reports tonight? All right, Trustee Marks.
Thank you. Just a few things we've been doing these last few weeks. We've all been very active. Went to the CTA dinner. All of us were able to go to that, so appreciate our president inviting us to the dinner to meet and then to see trustees from all around the county that night. That was a really great speech, and it was very well attended. I visited the Grigori Open House this last week, which I know lots of us were probably at open houses. It was standing room only in the multi-purpose room. And wow, so many 8th grade parents and 8th graders in the room. It was exciting. And Phil did such a great job of announcing all of the fun things that were at the school that night. And then we got to go over to the gym and then see what was available for the students, and lots of hands-on things for these 8th grade students to see if this is something they want to do in their future. So that was very special. I visited I went to ethnic studies and we got to view the online curriculum and start that process. So we're viewing 2 different curriculums. So this time we did it, and Mike always does a great job of just giving us that information and then helping us walk through it and try to, learn how to do it on the computer just like the students are. So it was a really good night. I know Trustee Mejia was there as well, so we got to go try out that information. And then I also I visited the Clergy Council today, and they talked about the youth summit. We're gonna host a youth summit with them, or we're participating. Our students are participating. 80 students will be going on April 11th to the Sheriff's Department, and it helps build collaboration between the police department and the students. And there's some students coming from Turlock and also Calaveras this year. So it'll be a really special event. They hold it every year, and it's a really great collaboration with law enforcement. It's with the police. I think it's the Sheriff's Department, the MPD, and the CHP. So it's just a great opportunity for our students. And then lastly, I wanted to invite you all to the Parents Leading Change on February 27th. It's on a Thursday night, 5:30 to 7:30, for students and parents to come. It's the Martin Luther King. We're going to have Martin Luther King Reading Literacy Fair. We're going to have an overview of our Modesto City Schools reading curriculum. And then also Stanislaus County Library is coming to give a presentation. And so I think it'll be a really awesome. It's going to be held in this room, 5:30 on February 27th. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Marks. Trustee Brown.
Yes, Trustee Marks already mentioned the dinner that we had, the CTA dinner, and I was very impressed with the presentation that was made that evening, and grateful for the reminder of the great partnership that we as a board have with our teachers and all of our employees. But particularly, some attention was brought to some issues that we need to look at in oncoming legislation that we can use to help support teachers statewide. So it was a very good event, and glad to be there with all trustees and Dr. Noguchi and members of our MTA union there that evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Trustee Daly?
I had a few things. Definitely the CTA dinner. That was really a good event. I also had the privilege of joining Johansson High up in Sacramento, where they had the music teachers for the state got together, and Johansson High, along with students in our special ed program called the SCALD program, were able to perform up there, and there was a lot of people that attended. Our own Assemblyman Juan Alanis was also there, so that was a nice event to go to. We had our first meeting for the Family Life, the 5th grade health education curriculum. We had that first meeting, and I think it went really well. Everybody around the table really seemed to be on the same page of wanting to provide the right education for those students. We had, I joined the El Concilio for a mingle to meet the elected officials one evening. There was several of us that were there as well. And then had the privilege of going to Johansson High to do their open house. And like Trustee Marks, I was able to play with some robotics, VPN, so the visual, I forget what the name of it is, the Johansson High where they do all the videos, wonderful videos that we see. His table probably was the most
The Viking
most
Production
active.
Network.
Yes, Viking Production Network. Thank you. So it was really exciting to see all the students enjoying. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Daly. Trustee Irvin?
Yes. Again, been mentioned several times. CTA dinner was there as well, and got a chance to meet a lot of other board members and staff from other districts throughout our county. So I really appreciated that. I was quite busy with something else as I was directing, co-directing, and acting in a play over at the Gallows. So with rehearsals and things like that, time was limited. Also went to the Rotary Career Day at the Martin Peterson Center. All of our CTE programs were there. They were making presentations about the programs that they were involved in all of our high schools, and it was good to hear about all of the different CTE programs there and the students as they talked about what they learned and their experience in those programs. And then that was followed by mock interviews that they were at the tables. When they sat at our tables, we gave them advice. I was there as an observer, but I got pulled in to giving advice since I am a business owner and have employees. And so it was good to give advice to our students as they prepare to enter the workforce eventually, whatever their pathway is, they're eventually going to enter the workforce. So it was good to participate in that. So Rotary did a really excellent job of providing the materials and the guidance and the Rotarians who were there to support the event. So it was really great to see all of that happen on that day. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Irvin. Vice President Mejia?
Yeah, it seems like a broken record. We've been all to all those events together. So I'll just say CTA dinner, the CSEA recognition of employees, that some of our employees were recognized here, but also recognized there. Shout out to them for all the great work that they do, but recognized on a county-wide stage. Definitely the ethnic studies. I've really fallen in love with the way we're looking at through systems that we'll be using for online curriculum. we got lost in there. There's so much good things and potentially more other things that could be added there. So that was pretty incredible. We also went to the Concilio for parents for newly elected officials. They were there also hosted by the Concilio and the Latino Pact of San Jose County. So it was for all the people that were newly elected, and everybody else was invited as well, but mostly it was focused on them. And then also I just want to thank for the partnership that I know in the last few weeks. Lots of families have reached out to us what's going on around our country or on immigration. So I just want to recognize the partnership that our district is doing. It's such an incredible job partnering with the organizations, providing information and out in our community. And again, we're here standing with you, with our families and communities, anything they might need in this situation that's happening. Thank you very much, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice President Mejia. I have a few things to report on. Again, CTA dinner. It was really nice being in the room with all the other board members in the county and being able to talk with all of them and just network. It was fun to do that. I went to the 8th grade parent night and open house for Enox, and both as a board member and as a parent of an 8th grader that will be going there next year. So it was really cool to hear what some updates were and to see the students that were representing the Biotech Academy as well as the is it SSD pathway? I believe it is the cybersecurity pathway. So they were there promoting what they were doing. So that was really great. I enjoyed that. Went to a strings and band performance at Lakewood Elementary School. It was really their Christmas performance, but the instructor was sick during the first one, so they rescheduled till after. So, but it was funny because they still played their Christmas music afterwards. So, wonderful seeing them all perform. And then on a bigger stage, I was at the county honor band performances, which spanned 2 days, 3 different performances at MJC. Friday was the choir, so it was the all county choirs, and then the Saturday in the afternoon was the all honor county honor strings, and then the county honor band was in the evening that Saturday. So it was really cool seeing our students represent our schools. Some of them were in their choir robes, and so it was really cool to see them all there. And it was phenomenal, amazing. If you ever get a chance to do that, it was packed, but it was so cool. Standing room only on that Saturday night, and it was amazing. So I really enjoyed that. And then last meeting, we recognized our employees making a difference. And the following day, was it the next? It was either the day or 2 days afterwards. There was the county celebration of employees making a difference, and one of our employees was sent to the state level, right? And it was just super cool to see them recognized. All of our awardees recognized that evening, but it was great to be there in support of the work that they do every day for our kids. So. Yes, that's my report. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of our consent agenda. Are there any comments regarding the consent agenda items? Okay, sorry, teacher wait time. I tend to go a little longer than normal. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Trustee Marks, second by Trustee Lopez. Sorry, he was faster. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of the discussion action items? So moved by Vice President Mejia. Second by Trustee Brown. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. This takes us to our period for public presentations. Thank you again for attending tonight's meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have one card this evening. And so I'll ask this, no, this is not, this is something else. So, but thanks. So I do have one card, so I'll ask the speaker to come up and address the board, come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. And if you need translation services, you'll get an additional minute. So, Miss Latricia Beasley Day. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and community members. My name is Pastor Latricia Beasley Day, and I'm here tonight to advocate for the classified and management employees whose livelihoods are now at risk due to the current negotiations. These are real people, parents, caregivers, and vital contributors to our community who could soon find themselves struggling to keep a roof over their heads, feed their families, and provide stability for their children. During the pandemic, we saw teachers, classified staff, and managers go above and beyond to meet the unprecedented needs of our students and schools. Their sacrifices and dedication kept our education system running in a time of crisis. And yet, here we are again, facing another crisis, one that could result in devastating job losses, pushing families toward homelessness, and deeper financial security. I believe there is a way forward that does not pit one group of employees against another. This is not about me, it's about we. A school district is a team. Every member of that team plays a critical role, especially in our education system, for our students' success and the success of parents. From teachers in the classroom to the classified staff who keep our schools functioning, no one should be seen as just a number. I urge all parties involved, unions, school districts, leadership, and the broader community to work together in good faith. Negotiations should not be about who can demand the most, but about how we can protect as many jobs as possible. Because when employees are laid off, it's not just a budget adjustment, it's families losing their sense of security, parents struggling to provide, and ultimately students who suffer the consequences. I am a community organizer with Faith in the Valley, and let me be clear, no one should be thrown under the bus for financial gain. The idea that some would seek more even while others face losing everything is deeply concerning me and the community that I represent. What happens when the tables turn, when the same hardliner, cutthroat negotiations come for any one of us? We must reject the crabs in the barrel mentally. Instead, let's focus on solutions that uphold fairness, collaboration, and shared sacrifice. The goal should not be about who wins, but how we all move forward together with the least harm done, because in the end, what goes around comes around. Thank you for your time, and let them who have an ear to hear what the spirit of the people and the community are saying. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Again, although we cannot engage in discussion or take formal action on items not on the agenda, we do thank you for following the protocol and addressing the board this evening, and taking your time to come share your views with us. All right, so one of our students made it back from mock trial, and so we're ready to hear your report. Student Representative Gupta.
Okay, is it working?
Yes.
Okay, I have to say, first of all, that second semester is going by way faster than first semester. Like it's already February. It's been a month since break ended, which is crazy to me. And I know seniors have finished college applications by now, so it's much more relaxing for the class of 2025, and now it's time to focus on graduation. Besides that, many other student events have also taken place recently across the district. First up, I know you've already mentioned this, but just to touch up a bit, a bunch of talented students from our district performed at the Stanislaus County Music Educators Association, or SCMEA, festival at MJC 2 weeks ago. They participated in honors ensembles for choir, band, and orchestra. The performances were absolutely breathtaking, and every student did amazing. side note, I was also in the band. Next up, on January 25th, many students participated in the County Academic Decathlon, a rigorous academic competition involving 10 academic subjects. I attended the award ceremony and can say with a matter of fact that every competitor did really well. Also, many schools competed in the Future Business Leaders of America regional competition this last Saturday, including Gregory, Downey, and Davis High School. Many students qualified for the state competition in April in Anaheim, and we're looking forward to seeing what they accomplish next. Next up, many high schools also competed in the county mock trial competition this past month. The final round literally just wrapped up right before I got here. The award ceremony is actually going on right now. And just for context, the final round was between Mo High and Gregory, which is why I'm not still there. But we both did really good, so I think despite the outcome, the team will do well at state. Moving on, most, if not all, schools have successfully completed their winter homecomings and winter formals. I'd also like to mention that it was a great honor to attend the CTA dinner last Monday. And side note, like originally before I came to MCS, I was actually in Stan Union. So it was really cool to reconnect with some of their board members and teachers. So that was really cool from my perspective. In January, I also attended the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council meeting, where I got to preview some of the new piloted curriculum on Newsella. It was really cool to see like a different perspective because, you know, as students, you can only see the reading and the questions, but then I could also see the teacher's perspective, all the lesson plans and everything, and it was really cool to be able to have a different lens on the curriculum. And then lastly, Ahmad and I will be meeting with the junior high leadership teachers and inter-high council tomorrow to continue building our vision for an inter-junior high council. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Awesome, thank you. I saw you, you were wonderful. All right, do we have a report from MTA? No report. And for CSE, at California Schools Employees Association, Monique Fernandez.
Good evening, President Maestas, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and Cabinet. My name is Monique Fernandez. I'm an executive board member of CSCA Modesto, Chapter 007. I'm here to provide an update on several important matters that directly impact the well-being of our members and the future of Modesto City Schools. We believe it is crucial to remain transparent and collaborative as we move forward together. This past week, we've met with HR to discuss the proposed layoffs affecting our members. We want to express our unwavering commitment to supporting our members during this difficult time. While we understand that the district faces significant challenges, our top priority remains protecting the livelihoods and well-being of its employees. Our members provide vital services that keep the district running smoothly, including in-class support with direct student contact, and we still believe that every possible avenue should be explored to prevent any unnecessary layoffs. Moving forward, next, our local chapter, Modesto 007, was established on February 5th, 1955. It's important to reflect on the hard work and dedication that has shaped our organization. For 7 decades, we have diligently represented our members' rights and needs as employees of Modesto City Schools. We are proud of the advocacy we have provided and the collective progress we have made in ensuring that our members have a voice in the decisions that affect their professional lives. This anniversary represents not only our longevity, but also the strength and resilience of the relationship between our organization and Modesto City Schools. We look forward to continuing this partnership and advocating for the best interests of our members in the years ahead. With that said, I'd also like to point out the importance of our classified positions here at Modesto City Schools. Our classified positions play a critical role in the day-to-day operations. From maintenance staff, custodial, clerical, paraprofessionals, bus operators, campus supervisors, and many other staff, we are essential in maintaining the infrastructure and educational environment for students and staff alike. These positions may often go unnoticed, but they are indispensable to the smooth functioning of our district. It is vital that the district continues to recognize the value these employees bring and ensure that they are supported as key contributors to the educational missions of MCS. And finally, we would like to express our interest in being an active part of the selection process for the new superintendent. As labor partners, we believe that our participation in the process is essential for ensuring that the needs of our members are considered in this important decision. Collaboration early in the process will not only help foster a positive relationship with the incoming superintendent, but will also ensure that labor considerations are integrated into the decision-making process. We are eager to work alongside the board and superintendent to identify a leader who will be dedicated to the success of MCS and the well-being of our entire staff. As always, we thank you for your attention to these matters and for your continued support.
Thank you, Ms. Fernandez, for that report. All right, we'll move on to our report on the 2025-26 governor's budget proposal. Mr. Zerly.
Thank you, President Maestas. Good evening again, trustees. Quick. On January 21st, Deputy Superintendent Godot and I joined representatives from the Modesto Teachers Association and California School Employees Association to hear School Services of California present the governor's budget proposal for 25-26. The governor's budget is just the beginning of the budget development process for us, but it allows us to estimate the types and amounts of revenues to project for the 25-26 school year. School Services graciously allows us to use their slides for a board presentation. So you'll notice in upcoming slides, they're different from the look of the slide that you see on the screen, which is our traditional PowerPoint theme slide for our presentations. In order for our vision to be successful, our budget priorities need to support the Modesto City Schools vision, which you see here on the screen. The pandemic budgets we have seen in the past are gone, and education funding appears to be stabilized. However, concerns are currently being raised on how the governor proposes to fund Proposition 98 in the current year, as the governor provides a proposal that could underappropriate the current year 24-25 minimum guarantee by $1.6 billion. For 25-26, the governor proposes an education budget that contains a respectable cost of living adjustment and strengthens core instruction and learning. We'll be closely monitoring the economy to see if there will be any necessary changes needed at the May revision. While the financial impacts of what could be the most devastating natural disaster in the U.S. history are unknown, the governor had to meet the constitutional obligation of releasing the state budget just a few days after the Los Angeles area fires. The governor's budget presents tenets of stability and resilience, but persistent inflation, potential impacts of tariffs, and changes in immigration policy could make the proposed budget vulnerable as we move farther into the spring. At this time last year, for comparison, the state was facing a $38 to $68 billion deficit. However, this year's proposal projects an operating surplus of $17 billion. Proposition 98 funding remains strong in the governor's budget proposal and fully funds an estimated 2.43% COLA, increasing the local control funding formula-based funding rates, and provides significant one-time discretionary funding to address unspecified rising costs, student support, and professional development. This chart illustrates that Proposition 98 continues to be the majority share of the state budget, averaging 55% since 2015. While there are fewer built-in risks to Proposition 98 this year than previous years, enrollment and attendance declines continue to be a concern across the state. In addition, the 2024 tax filing deadline for Los Angeles County has been extended due to the recent natural disasters. LA County makes up 25% of the total state population and is home to 14 Fortune 500 companies. So the tax collection for the May revision will be an estimate until personal and corporate income tax returns are filed later this year. 2021, in the middle of this chart, reflects the pandemic school year, and you'll notice that there is a zero there on top of that for annual investments. That was the year we got stable funding because of the pandemic. But subsequent years show significant investments in the local control funding formula coming out of the pandemic, with the high year being 22-23. You'll notice the orange or yellowish piece of that particular bar on top. Those are annual investments that year to the local control funding formula. And then last year, or this current year, 24-25, a much smaller annual investment from the prior year. That was due to concerns with the economy that we are currently in right now. Here you can see the impact of the proposed 2.43% COLA on the local control funding formula base rates per grade level, as well as the add-on for transitional kindergarten and supplemental and concentration grant amounts. Both the supplemental and concentration grant amounts are maximums and must be multiplied by our unduplicated pupil and average daily attendance percentages to get the funded amount per pupil. The supplemental grant and concentration grant amounts that you see, that would be if we had 100% attendance and 100% unduplicated pupil percentage population. We have neither of those, so you have to multiply it by those factors to get the actual funded rates. This chart shows that recent statutory COLA increases do not always translate to real dollar increases using statewide averages. So this chart reflects all the districts in the state of California, statewide averages. The yellow is the statutory COLA, the amount on the right, the lines in the blue, that is statewide averages for actual COLA. This is due to declining enrollment and expiration of COVID-19 hold harmless attendance protections. In 25-26, the coming budget year, the 21-22 attendance percentage will be gone from the 3 prior year average calculation. And then the question marks you see for 24-25 and 25-26, that will remain until those years are certified. This chart shows the differences in financial accounting for federal and state COVID funding. Federal ESSER funds, which is gray and on this chart, were recorded by school districts, including us, in the year that they were spent, beginning in 2020-21, and fully expired on September 30th of 24. So you'll notice that in this is statewide data, 6.5, 6.1, and 6.4. So districts seem to spend the equal amount of money each year. These were federal ESSER funds, while the majority of state funds, which is the blue, the dark blue on this graph, were recorded in 22-23, the year they were received. That's the difference between federal accounting rules and state accounting rules. And these will be fully expired in the year 27-28. In 22-23, nearly 6% of all school district workforce was funded across the state of California with one-time funds. As we have already done twice, the staffing from one-time funding needs to be addressed either with reductions or identification of an ongoing funding source for those positions that were added in 22-23 with one-time funds. Our existing COVID funds reduction plan includes a third year of reductions to be identified in 25-26 and implemented in 26-27 school year. So you can see we're not unlike all the other districts in the state of California in utilizing the pandemic funds for staffing personnel. This is the School Services of California Financial Projection Dartboard. We use these percentages in building the budget, not only for the budget year, but projection years. I've highlighted some things of interest. You can see the planning COLA from the Department of Finance. It appears to be stabilized or stabilizing. Current year of 1.07%, 2.43% in the budget year, and then around 3.5% for the projection years of the multi-year projection. However, the line immediately below it is the California Consumer Price Index. This shows how much consumer prices are expected to increase year over year. And that puts a burden not only on the district, but that puts a burden on our employees as well. When we're talking about cost of living adjustments to our revenue in 2.5% to 3.5%, and the consumer price index for the state of California is in the high twos, almost 3%. So it's a challenge. We're fortunate to be stabilizing where we have projected COLAs in the multi-year projection. However, as mentioned earlier, the continued cost pressure of price increases is going to remain not only for our employees, but for the district as well. And then CalPERS employer rate, that is the retirement plan for the majority of our classified members, 27.05% in the current year. That rises to 28.2% in the third year of the projection year, 28-29. Fortunately, CalSTRS, which is the majority of our certificated members, that is flat, 19.1%. No increases in the budget year, nor the 3 projection years. This is the state budget process from the release of the governor's budget proposal in January to adoption of the state budget by June 15th. That's the statutory deadline for state legislators to pass a budget. So you can see what's going on in Sacramento up to that point. And this is our district financial reporting cycle. It is a continuous cycle of planning, updating, and reporting. Revisions are made to the initial budget monthly and are officially approved at first and second interim reporting periods. So you can see next month there will be, for the current year, there will be another interim reporting period coming up. And then, as mentioned last time at first interim, our reporting cycle has been revised to include quarterly internal monitoring reviews. Those are outlined in red there on the screen. That will help us better align with first interim, second interim, and estimated actuals to ensure that we are appropriately progressing with our planned expenditures for the year. Next steps for budget development. We are currently holding budget meetings with school sites and individual district departments. As previously mentioned on the last slide, our second interim report for the current year will be updated to include governor's budget proposal in our multi-year projection. We're awaiting the governor's May revision. As mentioned, though, that there's a large amount of the state of California that's not going to have to file their taxes by April 15th. So this is going to be an estimate, estimating tax collections that will come later in the year. And then in June, we will have our public hearing to adopt the 25-26 Local Control Accountability Plan and the proposed budget. Thank you, President Maestas.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the board? All right, seeing none, this was just a report, so thank you very much for that. We've got a very long review coming up, and I've been asked for a break, so if we can, we're going to take a short 5-minute break right before the review. Okay, we got another one, but we're going to still take a short break. So 5 minutes. Go.
And in the meantime, I'm going to ask all central office folks that are presenting to come to the front as opposed to hanging out in the back.
Okay. All right, we're missing one, so.
That presentation up right.
All right, I think we are ready for all of you to shine. All right, are you ready to shine, right? Okay, see, here we go. Okay, mid-year review, Superintendent Iguchi.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you, President Maestas. So tonight I have the privilege of kicking off the mid-year review presentation. It will go over the progress that we've made thus far this year, but also highlight some areas that is areas of challenging and areas that we need to do continued work on. The purpose of this presentation is to provide the Board of Trustees with a clear understanding of how the district is performing in relationship to key performance indicators, as well as where we continue to face those challenges. Everything we discussed tonight is aligned with our strategic goals, which serve as the foundation to our LCAP, or the Local Control Accountability Plan. Our goals are directly tied to our vision, and you see this in each presentation that we do. All the decisions that we make relative to our goals work towards ensuring that every student graduates with the skills, the knowledge, and the character traits to thrive and contribute to society. While we have made progress over this past year, and in some cases, some significant progress, there is still work ahead. Something to consider, and you hear me say this often, systemic, sustained change in education in a district our size takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires intentional effort, and it's guided through thoughtful planning, reflection, and presentations like the one we're doing tonight. I strongly believe that our continued alignment to the strategic goals that you see each and every board presentation, coupled with intentional professional learning, which has been developed through our CIPD department for everyone in the system, is paying off. It is through this professional development that we are supporting our teachers in enhancing instructional practices, empowering our site administrators to strengthen their instructional leadership, equip our essential staff that we heard from earlier to better support our individual students, and engage our parents who are essential to our student success. This collective effort is making a meaningful impact on our district. I want to take a moment and express my gratitude to the team. Thank you for moving up instead of hanging out in the back there, for their continued support in preparing this report and this presentation. I know it was a lot of hard work, and I'm sure that they lost a few minutes of sleep last night as they were thinking through and going over in their heads what they were going to say. But more importantly, a thank you and a thank you to go forward, and that is continuing your urgency as we move forward this year to the end of the year. We don't need to miss a beat. We need to continue to have the urgency that I continue to talk about, that Cabinet continues to talk about. So to frame tonight's presentation, first off, 6 years ago, actually I need to go here. 6 years ago, in an effort to create an accountability system for the central office, 6 years ago, we were building an organizational structure, and we will talk about that February 24th. We were building a structure, but as we were building a central office structure of support, you all, the board at the time, said they wanted to see an accountability system to what we were building. So our accountability system for our central office staff, we built around what we call a network structure, and you see the networks up here. Each network consists of cross-sectional departments because we recognize in order to be able to do work, you have to work with different elements of the district. So we've strategically put different departments together for a collective effort. At the end of each year, we take a look at where we were the year before, what goals we need to have as it aligns to our strategic goal. We identify specific metrics, and throughout the year, we report through our networks where we are in this process. So this will be the third time that the networks have presented on their progress or lack thereof. Earlier this month, all the networks came together for a full-day review, and everybody reviews the different goals, looks at the progress, provides feedback and input for areas where we see barriers so we continue to move forward. So that frames our network structure, which you will see tonight. So a little bit of logistics, and I am finishing up. I know it's a long one. Each network will report out through the network lead. However, the entire network is here, so if you have questions that the network lead can't answer, they are here to be able to provide feedback when the board has an opportunity to ask questions. Each network will report out in 4 areas. 1, what is their goal? Secondly, what is their key performance indicator? Third, what actions have been taken thus far? And then what's the next steps? If there's barriers, what do we need to do differently as we move forward to the end of the year? Additionally, you're going to see some color coding. I'm big on the color coding. Green is great, right? And red is not so great. 2 years ago, I really challenged the district to not just grow, but to do double-digit growth. So if you're seeing green, that means that's double-digit growth, or they met the target of that specific goal. If you see yellow, it's not bad, it's just growth. It's just not at the level of where we want it to see, because we are really pushing the envelope there. And lastly, you'll see red. There is some red up there, and that's work that needs to be done. So there's the color coding. Next, you're going to see an acronym handout. You all have that to help you navigate the educational terminology that all of our teams are well versed in. While I have asked to have fewer acronyms, I recognize this is just part of the language we use. We have a different language in education, and not everyone can follow the bouncing ball, so we've provided you some support. Something that you're going to see in almost every single slide is BOY, beginning of year, MOY, middle of year, and EOY, end of year. We should be comparing the beginning to the middle for the most part, but if we don't have a middle of the year benchmark, we will do last year to this year in few cases. And I'm down to my last 3 bullets. There is one deviation to this presentation, and that is business services. Business services is going to add in just a short little blurb on facility updates. That was not a network goal, but I do know that it is of interest where we are relative to a lot of our bond work and the work that we're doing around our facilities. So we deviate a little bit, and Mr. Zerley is going to start out and get that deviation over with. In the middle of the presentation, we will pause to allow the board to ask questions and comments, get questions and comments, or get comments from the public, and then we can take a break if you need it or not, depending upon where the board is at that time. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Brad Godot. He's going to support Steve Hurst, who is unable to be here tonight, in really framing the work around the LCAP. Excuse me, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Godot.
Okay, Dr. Nagu, oh, perfect. So good evening, board. A key aspect of our work is not just communicating to our crucial educational partners, but to engage with them on a meaningful level. This slide showcases the various efforts led by district staff to engage with many of our educational partners as part of the Local Control Accountability Plan process, AKA the LCAP. The feedback from our educational partners is a crucial part of the process as we work to develop our LCAP goals, actions, and services. So our focus remains steadfast in monitoring and reviewing the 2024 through 2027 LCAP plan to ensure we are meeting our goals and addressing the needs of our students, staff, and community. For a comprehensive overview of our progress with regard to actions, metrics, and mid-year expenditures, I refer you to the 2025 LCAP mid-year monitoring report, which has been included in tonight's agenda. Additionally, we will bring the 25-26 LCAP for board review, input, and approval in June. Now, I'd like to introduce Associate Superintendent of Business Services, Tim Zerley.
Thank you, Brad. Our Business Services Network lead is Chris Atwell, Senior Director of Nutrition Services. Chris couldn't be here tonight, but I was going to do the presentation anyway on behalf of Business Services. And our network goal is to improve quality customer service through efficient operations and communications to support our students, staff, and community. The key performance indicators to support our customer service goal are nutrition services, elementary schools to be offered a special lunch option. This will help promote perfect attendance, positive student behaviors, and student outcomes for students selected by the site administration while providing students with an exceptional dining experience. Financial services provide meaningful and collaborative financial training to principals, administrative assistants, and bookkeepers driven by their individual site needs. Transportation, prepare for and implement special education transportation services for our adult students with disabilities. Those are 18 to 22-year-olds in the Transitions program. Sustainability, increase our school site participation in school sustainability projects. Risk management, in particular workers' compensation, offer meaningful temporary work opportunities for work-related injured employees that will provide doctor-approved productive work during their recovery period. And school safety, improve the school safety officer incident response time from currently 10 minutes to 8 minutes. That is the time call is received to arrival at the school site. Actions taken to date for each one of those key performance indicators. First semester, we held 6 American Graffiti themed meal celebrations to support positive school culture and attendance awareness. Senior Director Chris Atwell has committed for a second semester doing this weekly if the demand is there in order for us to get to all of our elementary school sites. All of our new principals, 6, received one-to-one individual budget training by November of 2024. We held 4 monthly administrative assistant bookkeeper meetings. There'll be another set regularly scheduled already on the calendar for second semester. We've increased our site sustainability coordinator participation from 24 schools to 31. That means we have 3 school sites that currently do not have a site sustainability coordinator. This is in addition to the work around the 26 Energy Star certifications we received earlier tonight. Implementation of the first phase special education transportation program. This will begin February 18th, so a week from today. Will be the first time we're transporting our students with disabilities, the adults, in the transition program. And we are currently planning for the second phase that will begin in 25-26 for all of our non-ambulatory students. We have launched a new website with workers' compensation resources for our injured employees. And we have participated with local agencies to receive daily information on road work enclosures. If you travel around Modesto enough, you know it's challenging. It's even more challenging when there's a road closure or work being done. This will help us respond if we know what's going on ahead of time. You won't see and you didn't see color codes as mentioned earlier by Dr. Noguchi in our presentation, but these smiles you see here from the students really represent how much they enjoyed at this particular time the American-themed graffiti meals that were shared at their school sites. Also mentioned, in addition to our network goal, we're excited to share facility construction updates that will also benefit our students, our staff, and the community. Our current elementary projects are Muir Elementary is cafeteria multipurpose room. That should be completed hopefully before the end of the school year, probably in May. So we'll plan a ribbon cutting ceremony for that. Over right, cafeteria multipurpose room. Franklin, cafeteria multipurpose room and improved drop-off and pickup area. Front of the school will be moved to along Mays Avenue with a new front office. Roosevelt Junior High science classrooms will begin modernization in June this summer. And our first planned Measure X, that's the most recent elementary bond measure, will be a multipurpose room at Marshall Elementary, and that is currently underway for planning for that. Our current high school projects, Modesto High Classroom Addition, Phase 1, that will begin later this spring. Swimming pool construction at Davis and Gregory will begin in June. Science classroom modernizations for Downey and Beyer will begin this summer. Library renovations at all of our high schools, with the exception of Gregory, have been completed, were completed over winter break. Students came back to freshly renovated libraries at each of our high schools. Gregory is currently being planned, so that will be next. Synthetic track and fields at Beyer and Enox, the fields are complete. The track portion, I believe, is scheduled to begin this week, today at Enox, weather permitting. And then once that's done, the track will be completed at Beyer, hopefully in time for our track season, which began 2 weeks ago. It's a spring sport, so those are on the way. And then planning for the Davis Athletic Complex, that would be a stadium, baseball and softball fields on the Davis campus, will begin later this summer. I'm pleased to introduce Employee Retention Network Lead, Fallon Ferris.
All right, thank you, Tim. So our Employee Retention Networks team primary goal is to increase new hire retention to 95% during their first year with Modesto City Schools. A strong retention rate directly benefits our students by ensuring consistency in the classroom, fostering stable learning environments, and allowing educators to build meaningful connections with their students. High retention also reflects our district's commitment to understanding and addressing employee needs, creating a supportive workplace environment where staff not only feel valued, but also empowered to succeed. To achieve this goal, we have identified 3 key focus areas: diverse new hires, paraprofessionals, and probationary staff. Several concrete steps we have taken thus far to enhance retention are: we've taken a close look at our post-onboarding practices for classified employees, identifying gaps in areas where we can improve. We've also enhanced our data collection and monitoring systems to better track employee feedback, and we're continuously collecting, monitoring, and analyzing this data to guide our strategies when it comes to recruitment, onboarding, and retention. We've made sure to strengthen our supports for our probationary staff, working closely with both sites and department leaders to offer more proactive assistance. And right now, we're in the process of expanding resources for newly hired paraprofessionals who've historically faced the lowest retention rates. And this includes things like a new paraprofessional training hand manual, as well as digital training options to ensure increased accessibility. Some of the KPIs, the key performance indicators we are tracking to measure our retention efforts are: the number of employees separated during their probationary period to identify trends and areas needing intervention. On the screen, you'll see these numbers of our year-over-year trend from 2022 to 23 and then 23 to 24, along with our current mid-year data of our current school year. And we're seeing positive movement with reduced attrition across all 3 employee groups year to date. On this slide, you'll see a comparison of the number of employees separated during their probationary period, from last year's mid-year data to the current mid-year data. Notably, the separation rate for our classified staff has decreased by nearly 50%, while the certificated staff separations remained consistent with last year's figures. We've also been closely tracking the retention rates of our TK-12 instructional paraprofessionals and autism paraprofessionals, as these groups have historically had the lowest retention rates. And as of mid-year, we're seeing strong results with a 97% retention rate for our instructional paras and 96% retention rate for our autism paras. Moving forward, we'll continue refining our approach by strengthening new hire and employee feedback systems to proactively address concerns. We're working towards incorporating focus groups to better understand our needs of our diverse employees, establishing formalized post-hire onboarding practices across all MCS departments and sites, sharing new hire and exit survey data with site and department leaders to guide our retention efforts, and then obtain comparable district retention data to benchmark our progress and identify best practices from similar districts. These next steps will help us sustain and improve our retention rates, ensuring all employees feel supported and engaged at Modesto City Schools. And next, I would like to introduce Senior Director of School Leadership, Mr. Ernesto Calderon.
Thought I heard some claps back there. I felt special. Good evening. Now we will shift our focus to our goal on universal preschool through grade 6 instructional core. Although the instructional core in pre-K 6 has many components, the goal tonight will focus primarily on our achievement in English language arts and mathematics. Our goal is to increase student achievement performance in English language arts and math on the CASP by 10% overall, and identify student groups of English learners and students with disabilities. Our most current baseline data is 31% of our students meeting or exceeding standards in English language arts, and 23% of our students meeting or exceeding standards in mathematics. Again, that's in grades 3 through 6. In grades 3 through 6, actions taken to date include holding data dives in ELA on DIBELS, Hegarty, and IABs, which are assessments that help guide instruction in literacy specifically, ongoing professional development for staff in targeted areas aligned with year 1 of the instructional core roadmap, refining what we do with our MTSS time block in kindergarten at target sites to maximize opportunities for first-time instruction for kindergartners, our continued effort in adding certificated math support teachers at 12 sites identified as having the largest need, and the implementation of the Classroom Mosaic platform to provide strategic instructional feedback to teachers while conducting classroom walkthroughs. Now moving to the key performance indicators, which serve as checkpoints to help us determine if we are on track to meet our goals. The following 6 slides will contain data indicating progress in English language arts and math. The first chart indicates how students performed on the Hegarty assessment. This assessment measures critical phonemic awareness and early literacy skills. And all transitional kindergartners or TK students take this assessment. The chart shows how students performed during the beginning of the year, or BOI, when compared to middle of the year, or MOI. Values in green indicate a growth of 10% or more in students who scored at or above benchmark on the middle of the year assessment when compared to beginning of the year. And as you can see, we are on track to meet our goal by the end of the year. And then please note that TK students do not take the LPAC, and therefore there's no data available for the English learner student group in this chart. So the next chart indicates how students performed on the DIBELS assessment. DIBELS, which stands for Dynamic Indicators for Basic Early Literacy Skills, measures student progress on basic early literacy skills, including phonemic awareness, phonics, and reading comprehension. This chart shows how students performed during the beginning of the year when compared to middle of the year. Again, values in green indicate a growth of 10% or more on students who scored at or above benchmark on the middle of the year assessment when compared to beginning of the year. Yellow indicates students that have made growth on the assessment, but not 10% or more. And red indicate a decline from the beginning of the school year. So please note again that this assessment has cut points that increase throughout the year. And because the expectation is for all of our students to naturally develop those skills as they progress throughout the year. Therefore, benchmark for proficient performance should also increase to reflect those growing abilities. This next chart indicates how students performed on the CASP IAB assessment. So the IAB, which stands for Interim Assessment Block, measures student progress on the English language arts grade level standards. This chart shows how students performed during the 23-24 school year when compared to this year. And as you can see, this is an area of focus that we've begun to address and will continue to address moving forward. For example, since this assessment took place, all teachers in grades 3 through 6 have participated in constructed response trainings, which was required, as this is the area that most negatively impacts student scores when taking the IAB or the CASP assessments. Next, we now will look at SWON benchmark data, which is our math assessments. As you can see, most grade levels and student groups have made an increase in this math assessment when compared to last year. We are making progress towards meeting our goal by the end of the school year as well. We also wanted to include a year-over-year comparison on how students performed on the same SWAN benchmark assessment mentioned in the prior slide, but only for the 12 sites who have certificated math support teachers that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. The 12 sites were identified as the lowest performing sites in mathematics on last year's CASP assessments. The purpose of adding these math support teachers to these particular sites was to provide the classroom teacher an opportunity to work with strategic small groups, while the remainder of the class continues to receive math instruction by the certificated math substitute teacher or guest teacher. So this slide was not originally included in your presentation, so I just want to make you aware of that. But this data was honestly too exciting not to share with you tonight. So last year, Dr. Noguchi challenged the district for double-digit growth for English learners, or double the growth of English learners who met the criteria to be reclassified. And students, parents, teachers, coaches, staff, and administrators, we all met this goal together. This year, we have already exceeded the last year's number as well. We are grateful, truly grateful for the hard work everyone involved has made towards making sure our students master the English language. So moving forward, some of our next steps include continued intentional professional development in line with the instructional core roadmap for year 1 in the pre-K through 6th grade. And also, since we're getting to the second half of the year, beginning to plan and move into the year 2 of the roadmap as well. We're also going to continue to monitor how the certificated math support teachers are being utilized at sites, identifying best practices, and sharing those best practices with other sites who also have this additional math support. We also want to expand our CASP preparation initiatives that would be uniquely tailored to individual school sites, and refining our data dive protocols to have a greater emphasis on instructional decision-making by the teacher. So now to report on 712 Instructional Core Roadmap is Dr. Sarah Olson, Senior Director, CIPD.
Good evening. Tonight, I will be sharing about our 712 Instructional Core Network goal, which is to increase student achievement in ELA and math for 7th, 8th, and 11th grade students, and in identified student groups by 10% as measured by the CASP. Our baseline data is from the 23-24 CASP assessment. You will notice that 12th grade is not included in this data tonight. Our goals are specific to secondary students in the CASP testing range, which does not include 12th grade. Before we look at a few data points, let's first review the high leverage actions that have been implemented so far this year to support our goal. The action steps are broken down into 3 core areas of focus: implementation of the instructional core, professional development, and collaboration and meetings. In the area of implementation of the instructional core, we continue to support sites with instructional coaching and engage teachers in instructional cycles. All of our instructional coaches are certified in cognitive coaching. Classroom visits are conducted on a regular basis by site and district level administrators. These visits focus on the components of the 712 Instructional Core Framework for Learning Roadmap statements. Feedback is provided primarily through the Classroom Mosaic platform. Classroom Mosaic offers the ability for feedback to be given in the moment and sent immediately to teachers. Data dives also continue to be conducted at the school sites. These are facilitated by instructional coaches in partnership with site administrators to review current data points and identify areas of strength and growth for students and determine next steps for instruction. Professional development is ongoing throughout the school year. In the area of ELA, 9th through 12th grade teachers and parallel teachers were trained in the new curriculum, and an overview was provided to 9th through 12th administrators. Genre writing training was provided for 7th and 8th grade teachers, and Writable was offered to all 9th through 12th grade teachers. In the area of math, 7th and 8th grade teachers are participating in quarterly math tasks professional development, and 7th through 12th grade special education parallel math teachers were trained on the general education curriculum and how to embed special education supports while using the general education curriculum. In the area of collaboration and meetings, graduation rate intervention team or GRIT meetings are held 4 times a year. These meetings are facilitated by school leadership with a focus on looking at current data such as grade data, benchmark data, and college and career indicators, setting goals, and identifying next steps. Additionally, instructional coaches attend collaboration meetings on planning days to support the PLC process with various grade level or content teams. Moving on to our key performance indicators, we will start with ELA. As a reminder, our overall goal is to increase by 10% the percent of students met and exceeding on the CASP. This is also the goal of our key performance indicators on the benchmark assessments. First, we have data for ELA Benchmark 1 comparing the 23-24 and 24-25 school years. As you can see, the overall data for grades 7, 8, and 11 shows an increase from the previous year as reflected by the yellow highlights. It is important to note that 9th and 10th grades are not included in this data. With the adoption of the new ELA curriculum, the 24-25 school year is a baseline year. Highlights in this data include an increase for 7th and 11th grade African American student groups and 11th grade English learners as represented by the green highlights. Looking at Math Benchmark 2 for grades 7 through 11, you will notice that we have the overall goal to increase by 10% grades 7 through 11 students scoring at the Met and Exceeds level on the Math Benchmark 2 assessment from the previous year. A review of math assessment data reveals promising trends, but also highlights areas of concern. Before we get into the data, I would like to provide some background on our current math benchmark assessments. It is important to note that the rigor of 7th through 11th grade math benchmark assessments was increased this year to better align with the expectations of the academic standards. This change was based on recommendations from an external audit of the benchmarks. Additionally, math pacing guides were realigned to more accurately reflect the content assessed on these benchmarks. The increased rigor in the revised benchmarks resulted in an initial decrease in student achievement. Highlights in this data include an increase for 7th and 8th grade African American student groups. Geometry shows significant improvement in 3 of the 4 reporting areas. It is worth noting that the geometry benchmark required very few revisions to meet the level of rigor the content standards expect. Although growth was not observed year over year, it is expected that student achievement will improve as students have more opportunities to engage with math content at the level required by the standards. The data for the algebra co-teaching model is displayed in this graph. This represents the comparison of co-teaching groups to traditional groups of students for Math 8, Algebra 1, and Geometry for Math Benchmark 1 and Benchmark 2. As requested by the board last year, we are also monitoring the students who were in the co-teaching model for Algebra last year and are enrolled in Geometry this year. The blue bars show the data for Benchmark 1 for both groups of students in each of the courses, while the orange bars represent the data for Benchmark 2. While both co-teach and traditional classes show significant growth from Benchmark 1 to Benchmark 2, the traditional class proficiency rates in Algebra 1 and Geometry are slightly higher than the co-teach proficiency rates. We also see the gap closing between the 2 groups of students in Algebra and Geometry. Math 8 proficiency rates are significantly higher for the traditional classes compared to the co-teach classes. And as a reminder, co-teaching was expanded to Math 8 this year and is offered at 2 of our 4 junior highs. We're now going to take a look at the school level analysis for Benchmark 2 proficiency in Algebra 1. The chart displays proficiency levels for each high school, broken down by students enrolled in a co-teach course or a traditional course. We see that 3 high schools, Grigori, Bayer, and Johansen, have co-teach proficiency levels at or above the proficiency levels for the traditional algebra course. While Enoch's co-teach students didn't outperform their peers in traditional algebra classes, they have high proficiency rates on Benchmark 2 for co-teach and traditional classes compared to other sites. Looking at the overall range from Benchmark 1 to Benchmark 2 met or exceeded for this school year, we see that 7th and 8th grades had decreases, while the high school level shows significant growth for all 3 courses. As a reminder, we have increased the rigor this year for the math benchmarks, which has had an impact on year-over-year comparisons. We anticipate that this data will continue to improve as students are provided more opportunities to engage with math content at the level required by the standards. In the area of grade data, the goal is to decrease D and F grades by 5% for grades 7 through 11 in ELA and math. This table shows the year-over-year data for semester 1 in the 23-24 and 24-25 school years for 7th and 8th grades. In ELA, we see a decrease in D and F grades for all areas, with the student groups of students with disabilities and English learners meeting the 5% goal. In math, we see a decrease in the D and F grades for the student groups of English learners and African American students. Here we have the year-over-year data for semester 1, again in the 23-24 and 24-25 school years for 9th through 11th grades for ELA and math. In ELA, we see a decrease of D and F grades for the student groups of students with disabilities, English learners, and African American. The English learner student group met the 5% goal. In math, we see a decrease in D and F grades for all areas, with the student groups of students with disabilities and English learners meeting the 5% goal. Classroom Mosaic was implemented this year as a tool that administrators use to monitor teachers' implementation of components of the instructional core and provide feedback to teachers during classroom visits. This app captures data for various areas aligned to the instructional core, including the use of board-adopted curriculum, instructional strategies, and student engagement. When feedback is entered, administrators can send communication directly to a teacher. With this being the first year of implementation of Classroom Mosaic, data is being gathered to establish a baseline. Current Classroom Mosaic data shows the following. The implementation of board-adopted curriculum was observed in 84% of classrooms. The most commonly observed instructional strategies are focused note-taking and partner collaboration, and student engagement was noted as 79% of classes having most or all of their students engaged. Looking ahead to our next steps, we will continue to focus and monitor the work that is being done in the following areas: Math Tasks PD at the junior high level, lesson studies, Algebra 1 instructional cycles, continuing our work with California Education Partnership, implementation of CASP practice items, supporting the implementation of the new ELA curriculum, utilizing Classroom Mosaic for classroom visits, focusing data dives on instructional decision-making, and providing a 7-12 Math Summit in April. We'll now turn it back to President Maestas and the school board.
Thank you very much. All right, we're almost halfway there. And so we're going to pause for a second to take any comments. So do we have any public comments on what we've heard so far in this report? All right, seeing none. Any comments or questions from the board? All right, Trustee Irvin.
I wanted to see, especially in areas where we're needing to improve in all the areas. Got a question with the HR presentation. Is there, in order to monitor what's going on and with the retention and things like that, is there a continuous improvement process model that's being used, or how are we understanding how things are evolving within that retention process?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So that's one reason on the next steps we have that we want to obtain some comparable data of other districts, their retention rates. It's not necessarily something that we have to send out to the state, but as a metric, but we want to see where other districts in our comparable size currently stand in regards to their retention rates to see where we kind of are in that same regard as well. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, but add to that the process in which, how are you monitoring the steps and the processes in terms of that, like, and I'll just use, for example, a continuous improvement process model. There may be other models that are being used within the district, but how do you get from, say, okay, the retention rate, we got from, we increased in retention rate to, 85%, so to speak. Okay, what was the process to get to that? So when you come back for that 10% to get it to 90%, say, 90%, you're continuously improving. So capturing how you're doing that is what I'm
Like the
to get at
steps that were
Right,
taken.
mhm.
I definitely, I know there's been a lot of different steps that they've been taken over the past couple of years too, that we've taken this year. Is it okay to add a board report after or not a board report, what is that called? The board communication, thank you. After with some of those identified steps that we've taken so far?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would add to that, as Ms. Ferris mentioned, that prior, a lot of our efforts were geared toward recruitment. And so we haven't dug into retention baseline data to the level that we are this year, until now. So we're trying to set some really solid baselines, and then what I think you're referring to is more of a cause and effect, which actions that we're taking are achieving the outcomes of changing the data. And so we're doing a lot of deep diving into that this year to identify what we think would be actionable items that can effectuate a change in the retention rates for paraprofessionals, for example, looking at things like support, pre-effective date training, those types of things, and then monitoring the data on a regular basis, kind of taking a builder's approach to the data. We want to see the data all the time. And so there are some increments where we can only see it at certain periods of time, like the mid-year, but other times we're trying to grasp it as frequently as we can to see, are there changes that we can see causing a trend.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm going to, actually utilize that for all the presentations we've had. How do we, we are improving, but how do we maintain that? So we have a footprint for, when things, new people come on, we have this continuous improvement process model that we utilize in order to monitor how we're improving on our data. Because you can do something, and then all the nuts and bolts in between that get lost, and then you got the outcomes, but then you can't really assess or pinpoint how you got those outcomes. And so that's what I was, I'm getting at. And I would say that for, the other presentations as well, rather than me going through each one of them. We know where the reds are. We know where we did well at. Did we capture how we did well within those, so we can apply those same principles to where we were challenged at. And so that's what I was looking to get to in terms of that. How do we monitor and said, okay, we did this, and this led to this outcome, versus we did this, and then here at the end, or we're beginning year and mid-year, but we can't really pinpoint how we got that increase or how that decrease impacted us. If that makes sense. So I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you, Ms. Ferris.
Okay. Any other I have a couple. One, just on facilities. I have to say thank you for the water bottle refilling stations that are going into some places. It's a thank you from my daughter. She's really happy about that. There's a lot of data here, so of course I'm going to ask a question or comment here. The DIBELS scores, indicators, this is some amazing growth by our African American students. Like, I just have to highlight that. 26 to 55%, kinder 14 to 59%, 23 to 56%. is phenomenal. So teachers out there that are working hard to get our students reading, amazing work. I'm concerned about mathematics, as of course I would be. You know, I guess our baseline is 18% in the high school, 13% in 8th, and 21% in 7th. Yeah, there's a lot of chatter out there about, you know, students really have to be able to read a bunch in order to do well on this math. But if you look, 47% of our students are meeting or exceeding standards in ELA, yet we still only have 18% meeting standards or exceeding standards in math. So that is not aligning. Something's not aligning there. I do appreciate that there was an audit on the benchmarks. I do appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our growth is going to be after this year using the aligned benchmarks that align to our standards. But on that though, I want to highlight one that I thought was very interesting. With the more rigorous and aligned standard benchmark, there's still a 12% growth in African American students in grade 7. There's still a 6% growth in African American students in grade 8. Only a 3% drop in Algebra 1, almost 30%, 24% growth in geometry. There's something going on there. So I really applaud our teachers for working on that. That was some impressive growth. I do have a question. What's my question? On the next steps, there's a mention of a 712 Math Summit in April. I'm interested to know more about that. I don't have to talk about it right now, but if you can send in a board communication or something, I'd just be interested in knowing a little bit more about that summit. Yeah, and then I had one more thing I wrote down. The decrease in D and F grades looks great. So thank you for that. First half. Okay, Trustee Marks.
Thank you so much. I forgot to ask this, but I wanted to find out on the key performance indicators on the co-teaching versus the regular classes. Quite the discrepancy on some of them where the regular class did so much better, especially on the benchmark 1 and 2. So what was the plan? Are we planning to continue with the co-teaching? I know in the algebra, Grigori, Beyer, and Johansson was even, but they did a little better with the co-teaching, but just wondering what the plan is for those classes on co-teaching versus regular. I don't know how many are teaching it. I don't know how many classes are doing it.
So for each of the high schools, the co-teaching model has one pair of co-teachers. So it's 5 sections in a school day of co-teaching. So 5 groups of students of about 35 students each. Moving forward for the rest of this year, we're continuing with some specific co-teaching professional development for the teachers. We actually have our 3rd of the year coming up February 18th. And then we are taking some of our sites that are demonstrating a little bit of a need for growth in the co-teaching instruction to visit other sites, co-teaching classes, so that they can do some observations and get some ideas and support that way. Our instructional coaches are also working with the PLCs and doing instructional cycles with those teachers to help them reflect on their practices and deepen their knowledge base and build their toolbox of strategies and supports.
Okay, that's helpful. I was totally with President Maestas on just the concern about the math especially in the higher, well, in 7th and 8th and 11th grade, because our students, I know they're capable of doing better. So I'm like, what is going on? And it just gives us concern. I'm glad we're keeping track, glad we're making some progress on some of these other benchmarks, but the CASP is just discouraging. So I don't know, and I'm glad we're aligning it. So when we say we're aligning the benchmark, we're aligning it to the CASP now? Is that correct?
We're aligning to the level of rigor that the standards expect. So increasing the level of rigor to align to the standards, which is what the CASP assesses. We're also encouraging the use of CASP-released items. A team of instructional coaches worked to pull together a resource for our high school teachers, math teachers, so that they can infuse those into their daily lessons that are correlated to the content of the lesson, so that students are getting multiple opportunities for exposure to CASP-like questions at that same level of rigor.
Okay, that helps. That helps to understand that a little bit better, because I look at it and say, how can our students be not doing very well on this CASP, but then doing, making such great progress on our benchmarks, and yet it's lagging. So, but I just want them to have the knowledge so they can do whatever the next level of education they go to, they're going to be able to do it. And if that means, I don't know if CASP is the best form of assessing our students on their ability to perform in a college level area or career that they go into. So I don't know if our benchmarks are something that we're measuring that is going to be something better than what the CASP is measuring. So it's discouraging to see the numbers on the CASP, but I don't know if that's the best measurement for how much our students already know, because if they're doing something that's just that we're teaching them something that they have use of, that's going to help them in the next level of education with like geometry or algebra 2, and CASP isn't measuring those kinds of skills, then I'm proud of our teachers and what we're doing. I just don't know. I'm just looking at these and going, I'm comparing apples to oranges, and I'm not sure which one is the best measurement for our students. So it just helps to see it.
Trustee Brown.
So it seems like we have a lot of focus on math. I'm pleased looking district-wide at what progress we're making. And I'm wondering where we see that the growth is slower in the 7-12 category for math than it is in the TK6. I'm hopeful and hoping that there's a way that we can track the progress that we're seeing in TK6 carrying forward as our students are more prepared to enter into high school. So is there anything that we can start to look at to see if we're seeing that improvement carry forward?
So that's a great point. So over the last 6 years, we've spent a significant amount of time working with our TK6 math program, specifically around the content, the level of rigor, the coaching involved, the review of data. We spent a lot of effort kind of emphasizing that system to be better with the intentional purpose of exactly what you're saying, right? How do we then see them coming back, coming or matriculating into the 7th grade with those numeracy facts and those things that we've said they've lacked over time. So that is our hope. I think there are some other things that we probably need to address at the 7-12 level, and that's really what the Math Summit is about. I'll give you a sneak peek. We're gonna call in 2 separate days, junior high on one day, high school on the other. We're gonna call in every single math teacher, and we're gonna review kind of some of this data. We're gonna look at the urgency for it, and we're gonna identify, hey, what are things in our control? What are things out of our control that we can really do to emphasize a systematic way to approaching this. And the anticipation would be it's not a 1 year, we fixed it and moving on. It's going to be a multi-year plan to really help us see the growth we want to. Remember, at the high school level, we only test in the 11th grade. So anything we implement at the 9th grade level, we don't actually see on that CASP assessment. We can see it within internal benchmarks, but we don't see that for 3 years. So it'll be a little bit of work on that. But yes, to your question, our absolute hope is that we're seeing students coming in better prepared to, or at least to our junior high schools from our elementaries. And then at the high school level, we're fed from multiple districts, so that we don't necessarily have control over that, but that is our goal, that we would see them better prepared to be successful at the higher level math.
So I just want to point out how grateful I am to see that we have the data that's helping us track this and helps us really focus our efforts on that 7 to 12 math need that we have in our district. So thank you for that deep dive into those numbers that allow us to have this math focus.
Thanks. On a couple of those notes, I personally don't believe the CASP is like a 1 day, few days in the life of a kid. And I'm not quite sure about the indicator quite yet of what it does tell us. So it's a snapshot. But I am hopeful for the new California mathematics framework in that it specifically addresses what the students need to be capable mathematics learners in their futures. So that's coming. And I was going to ask a question about curriculum in our framework as it starts to happen in our roadmap, and how we're going to take a look at curriculum for the new math framework, which happens in a couple of years. So I'm hopeful that is. And then on the other point, our co-teaching students for the very first cohort have not taken the CASP yet. Those students take the CASP this year. So it'd be interesting to see how those students do on the CASP as they move along. All right. Do we need a break? Okay. We're pressing on to the next piece. And Christina Romero.
Good evening. I am so excited and incredibly proud to present tonight on our Inclusion Network goal. As a district team, we have been diligently working to improve our inclusive practices throughout Modesto City Schools, and this collaborative effort has been an area of focus for not only our SELPA leadership, but a focus for our entire general education counterpart across the district. As we began this work, an outside analysis of our inclusive practices was completed, and in review of the findings of that analysis, and in support of the larger goal to increase and improve inclusive practices in our district, we have committed to the following areas of focus for our work: to increase the number of offerings and the attendance of educators in inclusion-based professional development opportunities, to increase the number of students with disabilities participating in the general education environment, and to support our inclusion specialists in providing increased coaching and professional development in inclusive practices for site staff and working with students with disabilities in their classrooms. While our district message this year regarding inclusionary practices is not new, we've made incredible gains in increasing the collective ownership of this goal across the district. This was established in both Dr. Noguchi's beginning of the year address and our start of the year administrative trainings, as well as the active involvement of our school leadership team in reviewing, supporting, and continuing the work of the implementation of the site inclusion plans. Additionally, collaborative efforts in this work have included the inclusion and differentiation components within all professional development offerings through CIPD, our inclusive practices-based 0.5% offerings through the PD catalog, and the alignment of our inclusion efforts, applying this focus to all marginalized students groups as opposed to just students with disabilities. We have expanded successful inclusionary practices across our district, which we will look at in terms of data momentarily. But moreover, we have ensured the inclusion of leaders across departments in our work, not only to expand ownership of this message, but also to increase understanding of the most important piece of our work, which is the why. This collective ownership has allowed us to properly begin supporting our site administrators, our certificated, and our classified staff. As I mentioned, the success in inclusivity requires the ongoing support and development of our staff. Last year, we offered 56 varied professional development sessions on inclusionary practices, reaching 829 Modesto City Schools employees. This was offered primarily through the Special Education Office, specifically from SELPA leadership, K-12 special education instructional coaches, our mild to moderate inclusion specialists, and our district inclusion coordinator. This year, we are not only on track to reach our goal, but we have already exceeded last year's first semester offerings and have already exceeded the total number of participants reached all of last school year. We are incredibly proud of this achievement, as we recognize that understanding the why for our work is critical in its continued expansion and success. While supporting our staff in this work is critical, the ultimate goal is obviously to increase access to and the participation of students with disabilities in the general education environment. Within this work, we are implementing pieces to increase access for our entire student group in this area, regardless of disability or the level of service through varied supports that they require. But there are some very specific and targeted trainings and adjustments that we are currently putting in place to target 2 very specific data bands in each of the districts in Modesto City Schools. This overall goal being growth in inclusionary practices and general education access for students with disabilities. In elementary, this targeted population focuses on our students in special day classroom environments. At present, these students are typically included in our unstructured portions of the school day. These are lunch, recess, prep provider time, computer literacy, assemblies, library, and PE. The focus for this student group moving forward is how those inclusionary practices can be implemented during academic time, providing students with access to peers during socialization, but also through academic conversations in their rooms. This includes investing in small intervals of time where students can be included to participate in related activities and ongoing socialization. For our secondary students, we are targeting our students with more mild to moderate disabilities within the school. Oops, sorry. This data set demonstrates positive growth in both of these areas and has focused at the secondary level on co-teaching, which you've heard a little bit about earlier. We are able to see, however, we would be remiss not to point it out, a dip in our junior highs. While they have absolutely made tremendous progress and had huge growth, we recognize that there's a scheduling difference between elementary and junior high with regard to some of our more unstructured activities, the ones I mentioned earlier. There is not an opportunity for necessarily library time, some of those additional things, prep provider time, CLT time at the junior high, but they are working diligently to include students. With all of our focus on increasing inclusionary practices, the goal before you of decreasing inclusion services for students may seem counterintuitive. However, I want to take a moment to just explain this. We're not suggesting that we should not be providing inclusion services to our students, but instead we are looking at focusing those inclusion services on a less direct model that's specific with students and a more coaching or supportive model that allows us to build capacity of our providers in working with students on a daily basis to increase accommodations, modifications, and supports in the general education environment where our students with disabilities are placed in classrooms throughout the day. The purpose of this goal is then to provide that instructional support ongoing across our district. So, while we've done a great job, you may be asking, what's next? Moving forward, the foundation of our work needs to be grounded in the further development of our mindset regarding inclusive practices. This includes the understanding that students with disabilities are general education students first, and that special education is a service, not a place we send students. This collaborative effort and ownership of this work also needs to expand into our communication with our feeder districts. As students matriculate into our secondary sites, established IEPs and practices move with them, ensuring we are all of one mindset and that we are involved in the conversations surrounding transition into our high schools is a critical piece to ensuring increased access for our students as well. The implementation of our site inclusion plans has been a success, but we are working to refine those plans and the process to include all marginalized student populations and to continue to better align our communication and focus. This will include addressing the needs previously identified surrounding culture, mindset, and professional development within both the plan itself and our ongoing conversations with leadership and collaborations throughout the year. We're looking forward to continuing and expanding not only our work, but the meaningful access that our students have to general education, not just coursework, but their peers. With that, I'd like to welcome Amanda Schroyer, Senior Director of School Leadership.
Okay, good evening. I'm excited to share as I click. Okay. I'm excited to share our mid-year updates on graduation, college, and career readiness, highlighting our progress, key achievements, and strategic steps we're taking to reach our goals. Our 3 key goals provide a clear roadmap to ensure every student graduates prepared with the skills, knowledge, and character traits needed to thrive and contribute to society. We aim to strengthen college and career readiness by increasing the percentage of graduates meeting the college and career indicators on the California dashboard from 33% to 43%. To support student retention, we're working to reduce dropout rates in our 2025 cohort from 73 to 60. Additionally, we strive to raise graduation rates from 91% to 96% for the class of 2025. With these focused objectives, we remain committed to providing every student with the resources, opportunity, and support needed for success. Our 3-year college and career plan serves as our foundation for achieving our goals and ensuring long-term success. Built around around 5 key areas, it provides students with the support, guidance, and opportunities needed to graduate prepared for college and career pathways. The implementation of the College and Career Campaign empowers students to take ownership of their educational journey by setting clear graduation and career goals through targeted outreach, personalized advising, engagement strategies. And through engagement strategies, students will gain a clearer understanding of the steps needed for success. Refining A through G requirements, grading practices, and transitions ensures academic expectations are clear, equitable, and aligned with post-secondary success. Efforts include strengthening A through G course alignment to maximize college eligibility, launching a grading task force to improve grading policies, and enhancing student transitions for a seamless academic experience. Additionally, 6 schools are participating in the California Educational Partners Collaborative, focusing on keeping students on track for all post-secondary opportunities. Expanding school links provides students with personalized tools to explore career and college pathways, set goals, track progress. Features such as a career assessment, resume building tools, and scholarship searches have helped students navigate their post-secondary journey. Expanding dual enrollment to all high school sites allows students to take college-level courses during the school day. This provides a head start on earning credits, reduces future educational costs, and builds confidence in their academic abilities. Expanded credit recovery options ensure students have a clear pathway to graduation. E-learning programs offer flexible self-paced coursework during the school day with teacher support, while extended summer school services provide in-person sessions before and after school. Through these initiatives, we're building a strong foundation to support student success and long-term academic achievement. I am very excited to share this data, or our KPIs. It highlights many opportunities our students have to achieve success. Dual enrollment has increased by 487 students this year, expanding access to college-level courses during the school day. A through G completion rates have increased slightly to 32%, indicating some progress to 4-year college eligibility. While this is a step in the right direction, there's still significant room for growth in this area. School Links adoption has been highly effective, with 99% of our high school students completing their 4-year plans, ensuring they have a clear roadmap for their future. Additionally, 534 more students are on track to complete a career technical education pathway, equipping them with the skills needed for workforce success. Junior Reserves Officers Training Corps enrollment, also known as JROTC, has also grown to 44 students, providing an additional pathway for leadership development and personal growth. These achievements demonstrate our commitment to expanding opportunities and preparing students for success beyond high school. Our progress in reducing dropout rates is a powerful indicator of student engagement and success. Over the past several years, we've achieved a clear and significant downward trend, with dropout rates dropping from 7.7% in 2018 to an impressive 1.8% in 2024. So far this year, with 34 dropouts district-wide, we are on track to maintain this progress. Additionally, our current rate is more than 4% lower than the state average, highlighting the effectiveness of our targeted interventions. This achievement is a result of our dedicated efforts across the district with classified staff, counseling teams, teachers, and site administrators, working closely with the district office to identify and support at-risk students. A key driver in this success is our GRIT process, our Graduation Rate Intervention Team process, which provides personalized interventions, proactive monitoring, and re-engagement strategies to support students at risk for dropping out. By addressing individual challenges and ensuring tailored support, we're keeping more students on track to graduate. These collaborative efforts reinforce our deep commitment to student success as reflected in the continued reduction of dropout rates across the district. Our next steps focus on maintaining momentum and expanding our impact across 7 key areas. We're committed to expanding early college and dual enrollment opportunities, with a focus on increasing participation and ensuring equitable access for all students, particularly our students with disabilities and our English learners. Strengthening partnerships with colleges and providing tailored support will help remove barriers and create more pathways for success. The Map Your Mission campaign will engage all educational partners, including Inter-High Council, student board representatives, to prepare for full implementation in the 2025-2026 school year. In transitions A through G and grading practices, we will continue to engage in California education partners to spread and scale effective strategies, launch a grading task force to pilot and implement grading policy changes, and strengthen the GRIT process while improving articulation pathways from our junior high to high school. To enhance college and career readiness, we will expand school links to junior high students, creating a 6-year readiness plan while integrating career technical education and work-based experiences into that platform. Additionally, counseling professional development will be a priority, with district-wide training focused on multi-tiered systems of support, college and career indicators, and effective use of school links. For dropout prevention, we will continue to refine potential dropout procedures to improve site-level monitoring and intervention efforts. Lastly, we will continue strategic credit recovery options as needed to ensure every student has a pathway to success. Through these targeted efforts, we will continue to strengthen our progress, close the gaps, and create opportunities for students to achieve success. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Dave Hauk, Senior Director, Child Welfare and Attendance.
I get the clicker right tonight. So I'm going to be talking tonight about what I believe is the foundation of everything that we do. It's interesting as I sit here this evening and I listen to all of my colleagues speak. Each thing is interrelated that we've talked about tonight. And what I'm going to be speaking about is attendance and enrollment. And that's attendance for students and staff. And it really is the foundation for the success of everything we do. Our attendance enrollment goals are for student attendance to reach 96% across all sites. If a site has 96%, it's to increase by 1%, to increase our student enrollment by 2%, and to improve staff attendance by 1%. For our actions taken to date, for our student attendance, it's to strengthen support for School Attendance Review Team. That stands for SART. It's another one of those acronyms Dr. Noguchi spoke about. Promote our attendance campaign, share best practices for attendance improvement, published a revised 20-day drop procedure, boost participation in Saturday school programs to recoup attendance losses, and identify students with chronic absenteeism early to provide supports and remove barriers. For our enrollment actions taken to date, we prioritize consistent advertising across all platforms. If you'll remember several years ago, we didn't start enrolling kindergartners until March. We now begin that the day we come back from break, and that advertising campaign starts before we go to break. Launch a junior and high enrollment campaign, promote the Tuolumne STEAM program, highlight career technical education opportunities, and inspire youth, Inspire Dreams events. Boost awareness of expanded learning programs, and explore possible opportunities for dual language academy expansion. For our staff attendance actions taken. Staff attendance actions, track and incentivize attendance at the site level. Previously, I don't think some of our site administrators were aware of the leverage that they could use or that they had to discuss with teachers that were suffering from poor attendance and other staff members. We're working on that. Collaborate with IETS to streamline data processes, provide monthly data updates and compile annual comparative data, expand data reporting to key departments, and provide training to site and department managers on attendance processes, staff attendance, and all others. For our student attendance trends, we have seen continual growth over the last 3 years at all grade levels, right? So our goal again was 96% for all schools. We currently have one site that is exceeding that. I'm gonna give them a shout out. That's Franklin Elementary. They currently, as of today, 97.1 attendance. We have several schools that currently have close to 96% at 95. That's Shackelford, Insulan, and Lakewood are all above 95%. Our district-wide, our attendance rate is 92.9%. We continue to see year-over-year growth. And our English learners, again, we see year-over-year growth. It's up across all grade levels. We see a bit of a slowdown this year, but it's hard to continue to grow at 6.7% as our elementary did in 22-23. We'd still continue to see growth. Within our African American group, we do see growth overall over a 3-year period, but we do see that there's some work to be done with our elementary and junior highs, with a 0.7 and a 0.2 decrease for elementary and junior high African American students. We need to identify those students and remove barriers and provide supports. For our students with disabilities, again, green across the board at all grade levels. Currently 91.22% with a 3-year growth across the board. Student enrollment trends. Now I know some of you know that in California we're seeing declining enrollment. Modesto City Schools has not experienced that. As of today, our current enrollment year over year to date is plus 305, right? A good indicator for our growth and possible growth is our TK and kinder enrollment. That has been a concerted effort this year. For next year, our projected enrollment is plus 163 in TK and K alone. So those are good numbers. One of the goals this year for our HR department has been an employee absence comparison and to promote good attendance for our employees. That includes all employees. So we have on this chart, you have all staff absences for specific reasons, cite only all absences, and cite only by specific reasons. You might ask what specific reasons are. Specific reasons include illness, personal necessity, sick leave reserve, unauthorized, illness in family, and personal leave. In this category, if we take a look at all staff absences, we have seen a decrease in staff absences year over year of 912. This is one I'm really proud of. It's been a career for me, working with student suspensions, working with student discipline. This is unbelievable data. When I pulled this, yeah. So what I wrote was, I'm excited. I'm not excited, I'm ecstatic. Okay, if you take a look at this data, you see year over year decreases at our TK8 grade level for our suspension rates. And what you will see is they are coming close to level. There has been some disparities in the past. And what we're seeing now is a decrease over a 3-year period in our Black or African American suspension rate for TK8 at 4.39%. What you'll notice is though, is that those levels are now almost level across the board, right? Which is what we're looking for. We're looking for parity. In our 912, hold your seats. For African American students, 912, our 3-year change in suspension rate is 9.42%. Again, we're getting back to almost being level across the board for those suspension rates. This is not something that has come easily. This has been a concerted effort by students, by staff, by parents, by campus supervisors, by yard duties, by every person that touches that kid's life throughout the day. I'm really proud of that work. I believe it's due to our work in PBIS, in restorative practices, but most importantly, in just building good relationships with kids. For our next steps, we'll refine TK kindergarten advertising, we'll monitor enrollment data and adjust outreach strategies accordingly. Strengthen restorative practices and PBIS, continue training staff to support positive school culture. We'll enhance our African American Success Plan, working with Mr. William Patterson to collaborate with equity and inclusion specialists and special education teams to improve student discipline outcomes. So up next is Ms. Mady Herrera, Director of Parent Engagement and Outreach. else paper I gotta take with me, sorry.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. I'm always the short one. Good evening. I'm here tonight to discuss our parent and student engagement. Our first network goal is to maintain a minimum of 95% of parents and in person. They attended back-to-school nights, community events, shared internal and external resources, and helped parents receive food through our distribution and pantries. We monitored these 4 questions. With the surveys collected, we asked parents overall, how satisfied were they with the information being presented, and was it helpful in supporting student education and well-being? Overall satisfaction during this time last year was 96% of parents were either very satisfied or satisfied, and to date, it is 98%. And support your child's education and care was at 98% last year, and to date, 98% as well. Where we have maintained a minimum of 95%, where parents were very satisfied or satisfied in responding to both these questions. We also asked parents if parents feel recognized as an essential partner and feel connected to the school and district. During this time last year, we utilized the Hanover survey and collected around 700 responses, and it was at 54%. And this year, through collaboration and developing new surveys with thought exchange, asking that same question, we are at 98% with over 1,100 responses. And our final survey question, does the district site engage you in the decision-making process? This time last year, also utilizing Hanover survey, it was at 46%. And this year, with thought exchange, we are at 96%, where we have increased more than the 10% for both these goals. I would like to point out that we have had continued growth with our efforts to provide parents on how the district works through our district-wide Parents Make a Differences. However, on how to navigate our district. But what we really feel contributed to does the district site engage you in the decision-making was through our Parents Make a Difference at the site level. We held 26 site-based parent forums, and during these events, principals shared all the resources available at their school sites, including all the committees that provide a platform for parents, for parent voice, and how to be part of the decision-making process at the site and district level. Further, a post-event survey was given, and parents could select if they were interested in any of the site or district committees. We then turned around and shared the survey results with principals so they could contact any parents that had any interest for more information or interest in participating on the various committees. Ultimately, the collaborative efforts and feedback has helped us to not only provide support to administrators and their schools, but to meet the needs of our parents by hearing directly from them. And for total parent participation attendance during the various events offered, I am pleased to say that during this time last year, we were at 2,862, and currently we are at 3,686. We also promoted student advocacy through various groups, such as Student Advisory Council, Black Student Unions, Hispanic Youth Leadership Council, and the Stanislaus County National Alliance on Mental Illness. To date, we implemented 15 surveys and received over 2,500 responses on various topics that included consequences for racial slurs, student wellness, student engagement, feedback on equity, high school expanded learning program potential opportunities, fueling passion, and student safety. We also offered 13 student forums through various college opportunities and conferences for growth. For example, the African American Education Conference, Hispanic Youth Leadership Conference, the Fresno State College Tour, and other related opportunities. We are pleased by the completed student surveys that students are engaged and want their voices to be heard. For our next steps, parent and student engagement will continue to collect survey responses at all parent and student engagement presentations, conduct the student climate survey, parent engagement survey, the new staff engagement survey, and the LCAP survey using the new thought exchange process. Evaluate feedback related to specific topics, trainings to continue to tailor offerings and continue to support sites and efforts to increase engagement. I want to thank you, and at this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Board President Maestas.
There we go. Thank you so much. Appreciate this wonderful report. We'll open it up to public comments now. Do you have anybody in the public who would like to comment? Okay.
Guys, for everything that you do, I really appreciate it. I know that you work really hard. Okay. As far as the parent engagement goes, I myself, for a couple, 2-3 years, except for this one, I went to the first meeting, sort of, to the parent PAC, Parent Advisory Council, to the superintendent. Never once did I see a superintendent, number one. And when I represented Johansson in the prior years, 2 prior years, in fact, on the Parent Advisory Committee, we were advised as parents on what we were going to discuss, not the parents' feelings or the parents' thoughts. It was, here's what we're doing, here's your outline, and how can we fit this within this? And let's break down into these little subgroups, and you're gonna get this section, you're gonna get this section, you're gonna get this section. And by the way, we have somebody, it's either a school teacher or an office staff, a school staff member overseeing your subgroups to help you rewrite the ideas that you guys have in your given advice on what you're supposed to engage about. That didn't include the parents at all, as far as I'm considered, as parent engagement. That was engaging as you, the district, wanted us to engage in discussion of topics that you wanted us to engage in. So as far as outreach to parents and parent feedback, parents are giving feedback on what you're telling us to give them in your committees. You're not asking us for anything. And so I think that that's really important. And a lot of this growth that you're seeing, engagement, students, attendance, I noticed that you're only talking about the past, seeing it over the past 2 or 3 years. Is that since 2020? Or has that been, I'd like to know the data prior to that, as far as if it's continued increasing over multiple years prior to the 2020, or if it's just over the past 3 years, because of course you're going to see growth and improvement. So mainly just about your parent engagement. That's my thoughts on that. I didn't even finish out this year for the superintendent's committee. Don't plan on going to their second meeting because I don't need to be told what I'm there to advise or talk about. We're supposed to be there to engage in what the parents are feeling, right? To hear our feedback and not on discussions that you want us to have.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from the public? All right, questions or comments from the board? Trustee Daly.
Sorry about that. First of all, thank you all so much for this. Wow, it was a lot of information, but really good information. I have to agree. I love, love, love the decrease in the suspension rates. Wonderful job to all the schools and the administrative staff and obviously the students. I have questions about school links and the grading system. So it appears that parents are learning that I am a mental health provider, and I'm being contacted by parents who are concerned about or asking questions as to whether or not they can turn off the, when the student receives notifications saying what their grades are, and it's like in real time, and there are parents with anxious students that want to know if they can turn those off.
Talking about specifically for school links?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out for you. I'm
That'd be
sure there's
great.
a way in that system to turn off notifications. And so if we need that information more public, we can definitely work on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I referred them back to teachers and staff and things along that lines, but it would be nice if the questions are going to continue for me to know the answer to
Absolutely.
that.
We'll find out.
Thank you.
All right, any other, trustee Marks?
Yeah, it's great to get all this information in one night. I had one just example of the dual enrollment that I learned at our open house that was so cool. So the principal shared up in front of all these parents that he had a sub at the school that was a student, a previous student at the high school, who had gone and gotten, he's like, how are you a sub already? She had gone and gotten her BA degree in 2.5 years because she got dual enrollment, and she was able to get it so quickly. So she came back to be a sub while she's in the process of becoming a lawyer. So it was so cool just to hear that example of how it's benefiting our students already, the dual enrollment, and just how well our students are doing. So it was so great to hear how you shared just all this information. I loved it, and I love the suspension rates, because I've been here when they were really high. And so it's so wonderful to see them dropping and just continuing to drop, and our students being more engaged, and the dropout rate only being 34 students this year. That's impressive too. So just seeing those numbers that I know will help the public see how just engaged our students are in their school right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Any others? I've got one question, and it has to do with graduation or college and career readiness. So when I went to the open house, on the screen flashed, because it was an 8th grade parent night, flashed the pathway for math, high school math. And something that I noticed that stuck out to me very quickly was that if you don't have 7th grade honors, you can never get to AP Calculus, because there's no way to jump back onto that train to get there. Is there anything that is coming or being offered or thought about to, because I was that student that I took Algebra 1 my freshman year and geometry my sophomore year, and I wanted to get to calculus, so I was lucky enough to have a mom that did the nails of the counselor, and so she got me into I was able to get a independent study. I don't know how she finagled that, but I did independent study, and I took Algebra 2 in the summer, and I got an A in Algebra 2, then went on to get an A in pre-calculus and A in calculus, and here I am, math major all those years later. But it took me a while to grow into mathematics, and we know there's a lot of students like that. And I feel like if we stop them and say you have to make this decision in 7th grade, then we're taking a lot of students' choices away. So is there anything that we're thinking about? Is that part of the thought in the next steps in college and career math?
I was going to say, maybe I'll defer to Mr. Richard.
Okay.
Dr. Olson.
Yeah, so certainly we have students that do exactly like you did. And, in order to be A through G eligible, you have to get through Algebra 2. And so I did something similar, only I took Algebra 2 and geometry the same year. Like, that's how I made that happen when I was a student. So there is ways that maybe we can look, we've explored in regards to adding the pre-cal AP course to offer another higher level course that's not just calculus, that could get college credit, as well as looking at how can we augment the Algebra 2 curriculum, maybe near the end, to talk more about like the differential equations, or it's been a lot of years since I taught calculus, but adding in some of those kind of pre-cal standards to help with that, and then providing some summer term opportunities for some of those content. But it is difficult when there are 4 classes, that are prerequisites, if you will, for that course.
Yeah, I mean, I teach a summer school course for kids to jump into the accelerated path to get to calculus that weren't there in that path for in their freshman year. So it's possible. I know it's at other places. I just would want that to be something we think about.
We also have first look classes for online learning that kids can take during the school day. So much like you took one during the summer, they could do that just during their normal school day and help accelerate that way.
Okay.
And during the summer.
All right. Yeah, that's all I had. Well, I do want to thank all of you for your time and effort to put this together, the review process and the presentation tonight. There was like Trustee Daly said, it was a ton of information, and it's a ton to process as well. But I know that it was a ton of time and effort to put together. And I also want to thank all of the people that work towards this, all the counselors, teachers, classified staff, everyone that works towards the benefit of our students in this review. Thank you for all the work that you do. So thank you for that. All right.
Now it's time for you to go home.
You don't have to, you don't have to tell them twice, right? All right, so we're going to move on to item B6, which is the board direction regarding our superintendent selection. And before we start this, I just want to say that I think we were all a little shell-shocked last meeting, and we didn't really get a chance to say how much we are definitely going to miss Dr. Noguchi, all of your work and inspiration that you've been able to do the years that you've been here. I know my kids have benefited from being in school while you were here, and I see the growth, and I think the trajectory that we are on is has a lot to do with the work that you've done. So I even though I don't want to go through this process totally, I respect and appreciate your commitment to your family and wanting to move on into retirement. So we thank you for all of that. And we know that now we have a difficult work to do that's going to take some time, and we have to go through a process as a board, as a elected board, to hire a new superintendent. And we look forward to that process, but we also don't look forward to having you leave us in the coming months. So thank you for that. During closed session, the board had an opportunity to discuss our next steps and what we might think about doing as we give direction to staff. But we'd like to open this up to public comments so that we can further take in some public comments as if there are any here, and then we can have some more discussion if necessary. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Okay. Are there any additional board comments for this agenda item or questions? Okay, Trustee Irvin.
I don't want to cry, but no. Man, it's been a journey, and you know, like all of us, really appreciate your leadership, your passion, compassion, dedication, and commitment to the students, families, staff, you know, teachers, administrators, those of us who've been around this district a while, you know, myself, starting in 1998 and been through several superintendents and a layoff. I have definitely seen the elevation and the accomplishments. You know, we can actually measure it. You know, and you know we're the talk of the town. I don't care what anybody says. We're the talk of the state. Let me take it there. And you know, without you, we all wouldn't be here. You know, we wouldn't be singing these praises. We wouldn't be singing these successes. We wouldn't be seeing actual teamwork. You know, seeing that and being a part of that has made me proud to be a part of that journey. I'm going from literally like having the biggest hate for the district after what happened to me. You know, that's just a natural process, you know. But I got over it, yeah. And you were a big part of that, getting over it. And so seeing where we are now, I know that our district is in a better place. And so I just, you know, want to say I appreciate you and admire you and jealous too. Because you're getting ready to do some wonderful things with your grandchildren and your children. And so that's not my next step, but thank you.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes, definitely. I can talk about this now, a couple of weeks in. But still, we're hoping for the miracle, right? Like she says, hey, you know what? Another year. But no, Sarah, I want to thank you for your time with us and the growth that we've done, right? Hand in hand with all of our staff, board, the ones that are here, the ones that are not here. It's all been due to, in large part, through your leadership. And so when we talk about all these improvements, when we talk about cafeterias, when we talk about new programs, the parent ambassadors, attendance rates, I mean, those are all part of your leadership. But more than anything, just the culture you created. And as we move to this new process, and the process that you've been a part of, it's very has been very big on bringing everyone along and making sure that everyone, even though we might have tough conversations, we might have disagreements, that we're ultimately looking at the goals. And so that's why they're there, right? Every single time we put up our goals, so we're constantly reminded of what we're doing here. We're constantly reminded of our vision. And so I think in the new process, that legacy will carry on, where we want to be guided by community, by our staff, into being a part of that process in one way or another of how, what's the next step forward. And so, you know, but back to what's important today, well, both of them are important, but Sarah, like I said, and I think we mentioned it earlier, like today is not the day to, like, you know, to wallow, because we still have you for a little bit. But I just want to make sure that you know that we're really appreciative for the work that you've done here.
Losing our Super Bowl winning.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yeah, I've gone through the process of stepping into retirement, and I congratulate you, Dr. Noguchi, for daring to step there. It's been a tremendous honor to work with you through this process and to participate in the legacy that we've seen developed in Modesto City Schools over the past 7 years. Now, as I look at what we've heard tonight in this report, I don't recognize an end. I don't see that Dr. Noguchi is going to say, well, we did it, we did exactly what we set out to do, and we're finished. Let's just hold the norm. What I see is next steps in everything that we're doing and a team that is prepared to carry us into those next steps. Every category of work that we're involved in as a district is focused on continuing on the trajectory that we've been on for the past 7 years. That's part of the legacy that you've built for us, Dr. Noguchi, and I thank you for that. It's important now that we look at how we go about the process of selecting a new superintendent. And as we, as a board, met earlier, we talked about things that we could do, how we select the team that's going to help us make these important decisions, what we can do to possibly streamline the process. But in the end, we realize that the greatest step that we need to take forward is to make sure that all of our stakeholders are involved in that process and that we hear from everyone in the district, in the community, and in every aspect of education, even our students, what is needed in the role of superintendent as we move forward. What can we do to continue in the direction that we're moving now? And I'm really pleased to be part of the team that has the honor of making this next important decision. So I think it's important now that we talk about who we would select and how we would go about selecting the group that we would work with in the process. So I'm going to just open that up and see if someone else is ready to contribute there.
Do that.
Oh,
Yeah, I was going to open that up, but
Good.
but thank you.
I'm sorry, President Maestas, but
I'm going to let Trustee Marks say a couple words first, and then we'll open that up.
yeah, I was going to suggest something, so we'll see. Yeah.
We'll go ahead and start that. So,
Okay. Well, I was going to say I wanted to continue on with the progress that we've made. And I know that we've had a great relationship with Leadership Associates, who's helped us through this and all of this time, who helped us in the process to select Dr. Noguchi, and who really worked with the board and has been, and she knows our district really well. And so as we've thought about it, or I've thought about it too, is I think it would be helpful if we had Leadership Associates go out to get a contract with them and see about working with them in this, to go through this process, to find out what's the best way to do this, how to get this survey, how to get information from the public, and how to find out what the public would like to see in a superintendent, and then how to go through that process together.
Yeah, and on that, I believe Leadership Associates would also, as we take applicants, it's going to be both internal and external, so we get to see the entire pool of
Yes.
candidates, and we can consider every option, because we want to honor every option that we have. Okay, so is there any other discussion on it? I think we're thinking around the same, so I want to kind of move it forward and give direction to staff. Are we okay with that? Trustee Irvin.
I was just going to say, let's move it forward. You know, we're all in agreement, you know, let's move it forward.
All right. Okay, so based on this discussion, the board would like to direct staff to present a contract with Leadership Associates for ratification at our next meeting.
The next regular meeting.
The next regular meeting, not our workshop, which is coming up in 2 weeks. Okay, that's not really a vote, that's just a direction, so we're going to go and do that. All right. with that, here we go. We've got two more things here. We've got approval for vote for no more than 2 candidates for the California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly 2025. So are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? All right, we have 2 candidates that we can vote for. We vote for at most 2. The 2 are Mary Jackson from Turlock and Ray Prock Jr. from Denair. Are there any comments from the board? Trustee Marks.
I think they'll both be good. I have worked with both of them briefly with Mr. Kroc on our in our delegate assembly, and so we meet as a region. So there's 15 in our region, and there are 2 of them, and so I think we should just vote for both of them. So
Okay.
I don't, and I mean, we're welcome to write in a candidate. It's really hard to get somebody to win this unless you've contacted all the districts in the county and said, please vote for me. You know, if someone wanted to do that, but I think I'm fine with both of them.
All right, Trustee Irvin.
I take it we can vote for 2? Yes, we can vote. Okay, yes, I've worked with Mary Jackson, so, yeah, if we can vote for 2, then let's send them to delegate assembly.
Oh. I'm getting there.
Oh.
So do I hear a motion to approve Mary Jackson from Turlock Unified School USD and Ray Prock Jr. from Denair USD as Modesto City Schools Board of Education's choice as the 2 candidates for the CSBA Delegate Assembly in 2025?
So,
I hear a
second.
motion from Vice President Mejia. Second from Trustee Irvin. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries unanimously.
And I believe
go
whoever
ahead.
has the original document that was sent to us, that has to be sent in, because I've been on the balloting committee, and if they don't send in the original, it's not counted. Yes, okay.
Okay, and with that, we go to Mr. Henderson. Henderson. Oh, please stand. No, it's okay.
Shall
All
I?
right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I just want to note it took until 8:50 for anyone to mention the Super Bowl. And I don't know how many fans we had the outcome of that, but I happen to be one. So it was a closer for the Chiefs, and I'm glad to close the meeting. So item B8 recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the assignment of teachers outside their credential academic major or minor. We present this resolution for certificated staff who are credentialed in an area other than physical education to allow them to coach 1 period of athletics for which the students receive PE credit. And that's the purpose for this authorization tonight. It's been determined these individuals qualify under the authorization granted through this resolution, and we recommend the board approve this item.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the public? No, sure, okay, thanks. Any comments or questions from the board? Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution 242533 authorizing credential outside the credential area code, the education code for 2426? So I got a motion first by Trustee Irvin and a second by Vice President Mejia. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Fly, Eagles, fly. Sorry.
Are there any items to be placed on future board agendas? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Vice President Mejia, second by Trustee Lopez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.